02, and we'll call this meeting Wichita County Commissioners Court to order. Mr. Beecham, if you would do the invocation, please, sir.
Gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we just come to you with humble spirit, Lord, and Lord, just thank you for all the blessings you've given us, Lord, and just thank you for this time we can come together as a body, Lord, to govern the business of our county, Lord. And we pray that you would give us the wisdom to act correctly, Lord, that you give us just all the discernment and everything that we need to act in the best interest of our taxpaying public, Lord. And we thank you for our first responders, Lord, those that put themselves in harm's way, Lord, to keep us safe. Lord, we stop and pause for a moment for those that have fallen in Midland, Odessa area, Lord, for those first responders also who put their lives on the line, Lord. Lord, we just pray that that never happens again, Lord, in our state, in our country, Lord. We just pray that this evil would pass. Lord, we just thank you so much for all the blessings you've given us, Lord, and all the things that you do for us every day. These things I pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks, sir. Oh. You know what? You're not alone. They could have been in chorus. Pledge allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now the Texas pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. Take seats, please. Anyone wish to make any comments since we have that on the agenda first?
I'd like to comment that Mahler was supposed to bring us to the beach.
Oh, sure was. Sorry about that. I even had it underlined. It's all right.
I'll pray later.
Yeah. We can do it again.
No,
We never have too much prayer.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right.
But Commissioner, thanks for remembering that horrible thing in Midland, Odessa. That's, I'd have thought out there in the far west there'd have been, that old boy wouldn't have made it very far for it. There'd been a cowboy to take him out. But
It's one thing you don't expect, and they pull up behind you and start shooting at the intersection.
no.
Judge, it's so crazy out there with all the traffic and everything.
Oh yeah. Oh no. It's.
Yeah, Don hates going out there to work.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Kind of followed the toddler that was shot. Saw some pictures last evening after her surgery. She's doing really well.
Oh, that's great.
To be shot in the face is a 17-month.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think her mother said she was having a hard time to keep her from wanting to get up and play. So that's good.
That's a good sign.
That's a good sign.
All right.
Exactly right.
If I could ask you all to review and take action on the consent agenda, please.
Second.
Nancy, you don't need to change the prayer orders because I goofed it up. We'll, yeah, don't redo that.
We're all praying the same God, so that's all that matters.
There was some divine reason I chose that. I don't know what
That's
it was.
right. I agree.
Besides old age, maybe. Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Harvey, a second by Commissioner Beecham. Any comments, anyone in the audience on these items? Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 1, on general business, review and approve the regular bills for payment.
Motion to pay.
Second.
Yes, sir. Okay, any questions or comments on the bills? Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item 2 is discuss, consider, take action to approve the 5-day overlap in Department 225 salaries budget for training of the new Commissioner Secretary, Commissioner Watts.
Yes, we've got an overlap. Alexis is going to be here till Thursday. We've got my staff employee fielding her and getting up to speed before she leaves out on us. Nancy, do you have anything to add? I mean, as far, Alexis is short some days during the week. She's going to leave early a little bit.
Yes.
But for the most part, you're expecting her here till,
I think.
okay.
Yeah, could be here till Thursday.
What's the hourly rate on that?
$12.50, wasn't it, Nancy?
Yes.
Per hour plus fees.
I'm on the judges. And I signed
Did you make a motion, Jeff?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll second that.
Any other comments, questions?
Just one, that should be Fund 225.
I'm sorry, yeah, I was told that, I just didn't get it down there. That's 2 today, gang, I'm gonna go home before I strike out. Okay,
Judge, before I forget, because
Yes,
I'm
sir.
going to, the,
Are you trying to?
on item 8 on the consent.
Yes, sir.
I didn't know exactly why why does that list? that was my,
there are items that are outside of the list, and
Of
so we
paying for?
Of paying for, but
I thought that was it, but I
yeah,
wasn't.
it's like the one you get, when they have surgery for a colon problem, they get a colostomy bag, we cover those separate. What are they thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy, okay.
I did call to check on that this morning, Jeff. It looks like it was because it was a fracture and they put that on a boot in lieu of a cast. We normally
Cast, we
would-
wouldn't have taken action on, right?
Yeah, we would not have, but durable medical items, we generally don't cover without an override.
I got you.
We didn't override this from Indigent Health, this was overridden with the clinic, so.
Okay.
Sir,
Morning, Bob.
I have a piece of paper that says I am. You do
Yeah.
too.
Honorable.
No, Officer Ann. No, honorable doesn't. It doesn't say that on our swearing in. It's about being a gentleman, no.
I couldn't figure it out.
Or gentle person.
It's the word.
Oh,
Okay.
that's what I had
Thanks.
white out of my.
Okay. All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Watts, second by Commissioner Muller to accept the items stated with adding the at $12.50 per hour plus fees and changing it from Department 225 to Fund 225. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item 3 is discuss, consider, or take action to authorize 2 temporary positions in building maintenance for up to 60 days to complete construction project in the auditor's office and to be paid at up to $15 per hour plus temporary staffing fees, agency fees to be paid by transfer from general fund contingency lines as to those determined by the county auditor. Commissioner Beecham?
Yes, Judge, pretty simple. I've had them running pretty hot and heavy doing building projects and stuff. And if we take on this larger project, I'm gonna need the additional help. We use inmates, work crews as much as possible for painting and things like that.
Can we get them for that,
We
Mark?
got a work group from the jail that can frame and stuff.
Yeah, I'll use as much of that as I can.
Boxes, they can do just better mentioning, they did really good in
Yeah,
One-stop shop. Yeah.
I'd just like to have that flexibility to give them some help.
And Mark, that will get us a carpenter-type person?
We have some good carpenters in our shop, so I
Just-
just need some
Oh,
help.
okay.
So
Oh, gotcha.
I'm spreading them really thin if everybody's working on building projects.
Okay.
You might have to do maintenance.
I'll second that, Judge.
Okay, let me ask one other question. Commissioner Harvey had talked about a guy he had that worked for $20 an hour.
No, 15.
15? Oh, okay, good. Well,
If I
that
can
works.
get him,
Can't have it until he gets finished with shop 2.
Yeah.
But they may,
Offering
Dave,
16.
and y'all may have some capable hands too, right? I mean,
and
just depends on the week, I guess.
They come and go.
We got them right now, they're building, in that heavy room, the big room there. They built all that.
All that office and everything in there,
They
they did
framed all
all.
that stuff, and the radio tower boxes, all that
Yeah.
work.
Are they splittable? Can you,
Yeah.
you don't have to move as a group? Okay.
Chef crew's the bigger one, so we try to
Trying
do
to
that.
have 2 or 3, depending on what they're doing.
I got you.
The other 2 crews.
But is Shep back full-time yet?
Yes.
He's not
Very light duty, very limited, I mean, not limited, but I think he's like a 6-pound weight, but he's back working. He
Yeah.
can't lift anything,
He
but
can paint his finger red for it.
that's right, exactly.
They have those glow-on things, yes, sir. Yeah. All right. Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Beecham, a second by Commissioner Watts, I believe. Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. We're now down to discuss, consider, take action on budget requests from Wichita County Heritage Society. Probably about a month ago, Ms. Cully approached me and said that, she was aware that other counties did support their county heritage society and wondered if we would consider that. I said we'd certainly consider it, but I told her right now we were moving the other direction and that we had been cutting back. This year we were holding at the same funding level, but the court would certainly consider it. So if you all would approve that today, we'd have to add that to the list. I did not include that without it passing by you all.
The request was for what, how much?
10,000.
10 even? And tell, can you give me an overview, Judge? I don't know that I know
That's the
about,
Kell House organization. That's really who that is.
and what do they do? I don't-
Well, they do programming, they do historical preservation of the Kell House. They sponsor the 4th of July parade. They have the Santa House deal at Christmas time. They do get some rental income from some other activities, but most everything they do there are community-oriented fundraising activities that, that they will show off the house, historical presentation, things like that.
Do they work with the museum folks at all, or is that separate?
It's separate. They're both separate organizations, but they do work together on some joint things. But they're really two separate boards and two separate 501c3 groups.
I just think the amount is a little high. We don't even give that much money to our senior citizen centers.
Well, every nonprofit we give to, we give more than we do. But we do that's done by formula matching. Yeah, that's not. Yeah, and you've also got to count the other half of what we match over with Nortex to bring down more money. I'm thinking that's around 14,000 additional that we put over there. So when you put the two together for senior citizens, they're one of the higher ones.
Well, for 4 different centers.
Yeah, but
The Heritage Society also took a large stand on protecting Riverside Cemetery. About 5 or 6 years ago, I was part of that board, and we had some real smart people coming into that cemetery at night and defacing those wonderful historical markers. And it was because of this group here that the police got involved, and now there's signs up, gates are closed, and we paid for security. I think the sheriff cooperated with us on that.
They don't close the gates.
They don't close the
None of
gates?
the cemetery, they don't close and lock the gates of that.
Well,
they're not trying to keep people in, we know that.
The
But-
security cars go in and out of them at night.
Yeah.
so, anyway, so, I know sounds like a lot of money, but at the same time, my gosh, this is a historical area, this North Texas area, and we don't market it very well at all. I mean, gosh, Frank James had a livery stable here at one time, Jesse's brother, right after he got out of prison. And the Wagoners came up here.
Was it down by the wagon yard, Bob, do you know?
What? Well, I'll have to check with Bill before I give you an exact location, but, you know, we cured bank robbing in 1898 by hanging two guys, and I'm not a big advocate of that sort of thing, but it sure did discourage anybody else.
Well, didn't they shoot a deputy also at that?
No, they
Or is
killed
it-
Frank Dorsey.
That's right.
But the other
They
one,
had
shot
four
a city
little
marshal.
girls, and,
there was a doctor shot in, trying to get the back door, and he got shot in the left chest, and when they escaped, they went back down Ohio Street to 8th Street, and a deputy stepped out the street, and they started shooting each other, and the deputy was hit, in the same left side of the chest. And they turned east on 8th Street across the tracks. Well, the doctor, he had a metal hypodermic needle case which stopped around him. The deputy sheriff had a pocket watch that stopped around him.
Oh,
If there was lottery tickets in those days, they should have had a lot of
Well, yeah.
Was it the deputy or the city marshal that got shot?
This deputy.
Was it deputy?
I'm not quite sure if it was the same deputy named Frank Hardesty that was
Yeah.
at the jail when the mob showed up to take the two guys out to go to hang them around a tree at the telephone pole, but there wasn't much resistance at the jail out behind the courthouse whenever they opened the doors and said, come get them.
Well, the sheriff was across the Red River looking for the horse that ended up getting shot in the shootout, so.
Yeah. And the Rangers were already on the train back to Fort Worth, so.
yeah. Bill McDonald's, they stopped them at Bellevue. Bill McDonald was the captain of the Rangers, came back here. He later retired in Wichita Falls, brought the first Masonic Lodge here to Wichita Falls, and his first entered apprentice was Joseph A. Kemp.
I'll do that.
now, Bob, is all of that sort of thing what the Heritage Society
Yeah,
tracks and keeps up
They
with?
tell all that because that's what they do down at that wonderful house. You know, if the city ran this deal, I mean, they'd have raised that and put a garage down there already.
Parking garage or something.
Like our wonderful railroad station that we had an opportunity for. So, I mean, we really need to put a cork in this bottle because every other city that I visit, man, Jacksboro, for example, I just came back from Lampasas, see my kids. That courthouse, boy, howdy, just downtown, if you ever get down to Lampasas, go in there and just look around. They've got it all, you know, pretty courthouse. Heated up, and that takes a lot of work. And it takes people like Miss
Cully.
Cully, yeah, Ashley's mom, to
Mhm.
really get involved. And people like Bill, golly, down at the museum.
Mhm.
But this is a wonderful place with history, and everybody wants to say, well, we need to keep our young people here. They'll stay here if they're motivated. My gosh. This is really
I'm certainly a history advocate and certainly an advocate for the Kell House in general, as I spent my last summer with my granddad working on restoring the furniture in there back when I was a kid. But
What are y'all, I mean, were y'all thinking a lesser amount?
I think 10,000 is a little bit excessive considering all what we've done to our other nonprofits recently.
What were you thinking? I truthfully hadn't thought about it, and I really didn't understand the function. I knew a little bit of what Dolores did, or I see her activity around, but I just, until Bob kind of shared that, I never really thoroughly understood what the Heritage Society did.
Yeah, the sentence, as we all know, maintaining a structure is expensive. Well, maintaining a 110-year-old house is even more challenged. We have a 100-year-old courthouse that we have our own challenges, so not that I'm against supporting it, I'm just,
Well, it's not a matter of being against supporting it.
No.
It's a new request when our trend has been to reduce
That's the problem.
other requests.
I'd almost rather do a fundraiser for it. That's,
Well, and what, sometimes people come to us with specific requests,
right.
and it may be you know, of course, you know, you can say everybody loves putting things into bricks and mortar, but if you don't pay to keep the utilities on, you gotta, it's dark in there.
Well, is this an ongoing,
Once you start it, it's gonna be an ongoing request every year.
Could RCA make a request to be supported by the county every year?
I would assume they could.
Yeah, but given the leadership there, I don't know.
Once again, this is a tough deal, because there's not anybody on this court that's opposed to what these people are doing. But at the same time, guys, we look at the budget problems we're facing right now, you know, how do you take more on? I don't know, I'm torn over this thing.
I'd like to have a little more information as to what the 10,000 would go for, or what any support would go for directly. Is
Well, I'm not-
Even if you gave 5,000, that's a ticket to get the city to move on some things. It needs to
That
be-
doesn't, I hate to say priming that pump doesn't work that direction.
Well, and I don't disagree, Judge.
We tried that with Teen Court.
We really need to get moving. If anything happened to Shepherd, we'd be toes up in probably 6 months. And
That's what Amarillo
don't
thought,
think
too.
Uncle Sugar Daddy
Yeah.
wouldn't move if he had an opportunity.
I think we'd be toes up in 6 months if that's what we decide to be. I'm sorry. Amarillo went through that when Lyndon Johnson told him he was gonna shut that deal
Stronger,
down.
better.
And they're stronger and better than they've ever been. I think if we make up our minds that's what's gonna happen, that's exactly what'll happen, but I'm not on that page. Will it be a shock? You bet. But it doesn't necessarily have to be a death sentence.
Sure would be challenging. Okay, so is there,
It wouldn't be much fun around here, I'll say that. I don't know, Judge.
I can go back to Ms. Cully, tell her we would like to have it brought back to us next year with more information for consideration if that's your all's desire.
Yeah,
That's not
I-
motive.
That's not a motion, gosh, we appreciate the effort, there's no doubt about that.
I want to help, but
I'll ask her to come back during budget time and bring
That's
us that.
probably not a bad idea.
No action.
No action. If we were dead set against it, then yeah, I'd want an action to it, but I don't want to have that overshadow the fact that we really are willing to consider it, but given due process on it. Okay. Item number 5, receive an update on Law Enforcement Center and Amoresco projects. Commissioner Beecham.
Law Enforcement Center, we had a very productive meeting Thursday after our general LEC meeting, where, Judge, you brought it to our attention. The Fire Marshal had rethought some things about how our building was set up for sprinklers. I believe we're gonna save a considerable amount off of our original plan for sprinklers, in going with a full wet system instead of a dry system in the cell area. I think it was a good move, to change course this late in the game. I wish we would have had more information about the differences early on, and we could have believed that earlier on and probably got more bang for our buck. But
I think not our architects, the engineering group somehow made the assumption that the sheriff was dictating that.
There's a lot of assumptions made
Yeah.
there, from furniture color to
Yes.
floor, wall colors, and it is unbelievable, some of the things we saw. Not one time did I get asked a question about any of this.
You told them I'll smoke some in your sleep.
No, they wouldn't like what I said in my sleep.
But bottom line, it was a very productive meeting. We are gonna get more value out of our project from that meeting, so pleased with that. Everything else in the project's moving along as it should be. Yeah, phase 2. Has the crane shown up? I didn't make it out there.
I went last night, I went out there yesterday.
Okay, so we'll have to go through research on the crane yet again, but once they start with that, that whole jail section should be framed up pretty quickly on short order, so.
The whole thing, I think, my understanding was the crane's not leaving until the whole thing.
Till the whole thing stood, yeah.
Pretty
So
quick.
we'll have, only thing, by the end of this month, the only thing left without wall standing will be sections A and B, which would be the sheriff's office area, so.
Well,
At the south end of, they have, on the slab, they poured walls, and walls on top of them, new walls.
Yeah, yeah, they're stacked too deep in places, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
The next 6 weeks be a big change out there.
yeah. What's out there right now, it looks pretty impressive. It's nothing what it'll look like in a month. As far as Amoresco, the boiler should arrive in a couple of weeks. We're looking at the best methods and means to get it down inside the boiler room. We've pretty much vetoed taking the canopy down in order to do it, so we have some other thoughts on getting it in. That's the biggest challenge remaining on that project, is to get the master boiler back down in the basement. The rest of that project's getting close to wrapping up. And we should be walking the floors over the next 3 weeks, doing a checklist on all the lighting, on the HVAC systems, and make sure everything's working like it's supposed to.
You know, I was just trying to think on that boiler. It doesn't matter whether you take the canopy down. The canopy's higher than any of the entry doors to that.
The first thought was to take a crane and drop it in and kind of hoist it down
Yeah.
in with the crane. But I would rather, we think we've got another method by putting a forklift there at the entrance and dally off on the forklift and kind of winch it using the forklift as ballast
Yeah.
to kind of get it down the stairs, so. That's the current plan.
You know, that's how the Egyptians did. They didn't have a forklift, but,
Yeah,
Yeah.
use a lot of ballast.
yeah, and rollers and things to
So,
do that.
yeah, we just need about 100 Egyptians to come and help us get it down.
Too bad they're not in the NATO program. We could
Yeah.
borrow them.
What was on that deal, there was an issue with the water meter at Sprague. What was that about?
Yeah.
On the sprinkler system?
Well, are we tied into a separate meter for that sprinkler?
It should be.
Yeah, what it looks like happened is when we put the sprinkler system in for the parking lot for Vernon College, they tied into an existing meter that was used for sprinklers. It had not been used in quite some time, it had been shut off, so we were flagged as illegal use, so,
But
but we're working through.
you're
trying to
talking
figure out-
outside sprinkler, not jail
No,
sprinkler.
not jail,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, I worried about that at first, too. I mean,
That's
if we
what
had,
I was wondering about.
Yeah, we were,
Landscape water.
we're approaching the end of the warranty, so we're walking everything again, making sure everything is the way it should be on that parking
Gotcha.
lot, so.
well, I wonder, how big a meter is that? Is that,
Should be a 2-inch meter, should be, or
I don't know.
at least 1 1/4.
well, I was just looking at the demand charge, depending on what you have set up there for, we reduced some of those and cut the cost on those way down, so
Went from
Well,
100,
200 on some
200 on
to,
the 3.
yeah,
Yeah.
but some, depending on what Mark's got to run out there sprinkler wise, I don't know whether 1 1/4 can cut it or not.
Yeah, it's bubblers and I don't imagine, it's not a lot of volume, but
I guess it is staged
it's zoned.
off zone.
Yeah, it's
So
zoned.
that helps a lot.
Be a problem. That's the key.
But I think while you're having to stir that pot, I'd find out on that. Yeah, because literally, we took those, we had And we also had to separate which were the fire sprinkler systems, which are not demand meters, but generally are 2-inch or above.
Which we do not pay a minimum
Right.
charge for every month.
And you only pay when you use it for a fire.
We pay for the metal
Yeah.
work.
Yeah,
Just-
probably something we check into that.
Yeah, but I think the city might be encouraged to forgive that fine, or maybe we could go back to the installer and
Well,
say.
it really wasn't a fine, was it? It was just
No,
water
it was
usage.
just shut off. It was shut off so our trees weren't getting water, so.
Yeah.
But there was for illegal usage, there was a $2,900 fee in there, and I thought part of that was penalty,
Oh,
not.
I thought it was all water usage, Judge.
Well, if it was,
I
I-
don't know. Mark, did you see it, or did you know
I
what?
didn't see the $2,900 fee. No. All I was working on.
I took it that there was a
Water meter off.
$65 reconnect, Judge, and the rest of it's water usage.
Well, for what period of time? I'm trying
Just
to.
across the time frame of the whole process. So whenever they put it in back during the
Still.
parking lot
Yeah,
days,
a year ago, yeah.
year ago, that we began to use it, but we didn't activate the meter.
Yeah, but what I'm wondering, we use $2,900 worth of water in a year for an irrigation system.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Well, it was hot.
Yeah,
Well,
but
That's a lot.
the meter doesn't run by hot, it runs by the number of times you have it turned on. Yeah. Margaret was.
Yeah, I'll visit the market on that.
Okay. Okay. Anyone in the audience have anything to bring up?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I tried to get on LGS today, and it's not there. Is it just a glitch right now, or?
There's people called IT. That's right, start that question.
Okay.
Yeah,
thought maybe
they do not
contract.
ask us
Patty,
about
I
that.
think we're good to December, right? Aren't we?
Okay, there's something there. If it's off, there's either, there's not a switch that there had to be a purposeful decision made to turn it off because we do have a contract through there.
Okay.
But our problem is, people are still entering information on LGS. They're not using it as a reference. And that's going to lead
We're
to,
just using it as a reference. 'Cause
okay. Well, unfortunately, they do not have a view-only setting, which is what we asked for, they said, but hey, it's alive and well. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Commissioner Beecham?
I have nothing, Judge.
Commissioner Harvey?
Saturday, the Rudette Culinary Academy was honored to feed about 80 wildland firefighters, is what we call themselves, wildland firefighters. We had folks from Tennessee, Georgia, Kentucky, U.S. Forestry Service. They were fighting the Vivian fires and copper breaks. About 25,000 acres of our prime ranch land, just west of us around Crowell, Quanah, Paducah. Anyway, they had come to Burke Burnett, and we opened up our precinct barn, set up tables and chairs, and we read that Culinary Academy, give them a big old meal. And those guys are very appreciative, and we appreciate them leaving their families and coming as far as they did, but also Oklahoma was down here. It was really good.
Okay. Commissioner Waller?
Chip sealing's still going on. I talked to Jerry just before this meeting. I think they were putting their second load out, so that's a good sign. Things are running good and we're getting some work done for the rural roads in Wichita County. And if you're out and about, just give them some room, give them a little time. We're moving forward. I think you got some to do
Yep.
later this week.
And between Jerry and Pete feel like that maybe with no glitches, by the end of next week, we could be
Be wrapped up.
considerably wrapped up.
Great, that fits perfect with the season. Just
Yeah, but you forgot precinct 2 hasn't got to do any yet. So we're not wrapped up till we're wrapped up.
We're wrapped up with what's
They
ready.
Helping each other.
But 3 and 4,
Not gonna get your done and then leave me later.
Well, now, Lee, whoever said that,
Oh, I'd say you did. Oh, we too busy today. Kill it.
I've never heard that, but anyway.
I just made it up.
Okay.
But it could happen.
Good at it. It probably will now.
We can count on Leo.
Well,
Commissioner Watson.
yes, that was good news, what Commissioner Muller spoke on. At least we can see some light at the end of the tunnel so far. Knock on wood, everything is holding together and running well. I put, Willie had helped me on Friday, and Nancy sent me some stuff. I put together a spreadsheet with some tabs at the bottom of it. I'm going to forward to y'all so y'all can review before Friday. Just it kind of is all together in the judge's budget work, and you can kind of look at that and form questions and see what.
be a good overview.
It's a good overview all in one place right there together, and I noticed I've got some friends in San Angelo, and this morning Commissioners Court took action and increased the rate 7.99%.
Where?
San
San
Angelo, Tom Green,
County.
carrying them to 55 cents. And it was, I guess that thought process is out there at work.
There were quite a few judges at different meetings I've been at, that their courts were looking at that because of the fact of the number of things being passed to us to spend unfunded mandates. TAC just released on Friday the 160 bills in their bill analysis that would affect county government one way or another. And so it'll be interesting to see how each of those applies. There is something in there, and I've got to look, and I think I can't remember whether it's SB or HB 544, that it has to do with public information, and I'll check that and get it out to everyone. It's just like today's our first meeting under the rules we adopted, and by the way, there was correction in there. They had given us Texas Local Government Code 18024, and it's actually 18023 on the Commissioner's Court authority to hold someone in contempt that doesn't adhere to the court rules.
Yeah, Bob.
So,
On that note too, and speaking of Bob, I'd ask him to look Friday in our discussions on the LPPF with the hospital and their ability to catch more Medicaid funding. If Bob would review if there is a charge for collateralization of short-term monies with us. I don't see that, but there could be. And I just don't know how they build it into their package that they, operate with us. But I'd asked him or told him about the instances where we could hold for 3 months at a time some money, and that will have to be collateralized. And if there is added expense, the LPPF will underwrite that. So
I thought it was a quicker turnaround than that. It may not be.
I don't know if they're going to submit monthly and we pay quarterly, or if they're submitting quarterly and we're paying
Sounds
quarterly.
like quarterly. I thought
Yeah,
it
it's
was-
quarterly.
It was just pass through, it's pretty much.
yeah, I don't think we're going to see it long enough to do anything more than collateralize it and transfer it to
And
the
we
state.
actually bill it, didn't we not, Judge?
We bill it.
We bill it.
We
so-
get paid. We send it 4 times a year, and it goes right to the state, but there would be a brief period of time we might be holding, depending on entity A pays the first of the month and the others stagger
Well,
through.
Yeah, we would be out of compliance if Bob had collateralized X amount of dollars and he exceeds that dollar amount without being collateralized. I mean, it is something that we're scrutinized for, so.
As a matter of fact, I have a meeting with Mr. Pert in the morning at 10 o'clock.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
good,
Yeah.
good.
Bob didn't get the word and was a little under the weather Friday, and I asked Bob Hurt to get with him, because I think I think you can put it under our contract with American National, but you do pick where you're gonna put it, but I would think they're used to fluctuating on the collateralization amount they have with us, because we have more money sometimes than we have others. Yeah.
And they probably don't move that. Bob may Bob may draw off of it, but I bet you that they don't move relatively quickly because it's a harder process for them. They're collateralized to cover you, and they remain collateralized even though there was freeboard in their collateralization. I think that way they just know, hey, Bob's typically not going to do more than X here, so we'll keep that funding in place unless they're just need to use the money for something, but unless they're way over collateralized with you, but and let you draw it down for some reason, whatever.
I'll be able to speak more
And I guess that,
next week
well,
after I talk with everybody.
and Bob, that's also,
However, let me remind you, we got the bills today. 3.4 million.
on the,
That takes a lot of collateral off the table.
yeah, but you know, we didn't figure the
Makes
expense.
the treasurer's hand shake.
Well, we didn't figure that into the mix on the cost of, even though we make some interest off the jail bond proceeds sitting there, there could be a little bit of collateralization that has to kick in because you know that pulled them into action because that's way over and above our normal. You're sitting on that money, right?
Well,
I'll just use my fishing line. Thank you.
no, actually, our jail proceeds are all in treasury, so
Oh, so you just call on them, they don't have to, okay.
the biggest preponderance of our money is a tax pool, which they have no, that's the other side of the coin.
Yeah.
Well, it's the state and the state's rules.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, Bob,
Yeah,
as,
you don't get too far out in that water.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, if tax pool goes bad, it won't matter anyway.
Yeah.
There'll be anarchy in the street.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, and I was not looking at it that way. I was looking at it like you had it all in an account, and really you don't. You have it already collateralized other ways.
Jails, that's really, maybe I better start handing out those separately, because that spreadsheet, I don't want you to get confused on it.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
you've got it pretty well
I'm
labeled.
following you. I just wasn't thinking about that.
He barely got it,
Nervous?
barely.
And I don't hold you in contempt anyway, Brother Harvey, that's really not. Sometimes the Master Mason's obligation
Burners.
works pretty good for big guys.
You've even used it on
With
Woody.
the left arm in a sling.
That was that deal I was telling you about. I flipped it to you right now. You
Oh, good.
show it to the boys. That,
Yeah, good.
Brady.
Judge, this has been kind of an interesting discussion because at this time of the year, you always read lots of comments and hear lots of comments about how irresponsible different agencies are about spending money and raising taxes, and all that discussion goes on. And here, this group of individuals sat here this morning and looked at a request for a $10,000 donation that we all think is very relevant and very important and something we'd really like to do. And yet, instead of doing that, we're looking at all the things that we're required to do, and sometimes required to do for the people that really aren't paying the taxes in the county. And I just think this has been an interesting discussion this morning, considering the time of the year that we're in and what we've got to take care of over the next couple of weeks. It's not as easy as it looks.
No.
Well, you guys don't do an easy job. I mean, I'd sure recommend you to do some open forums, because we're getting killed on the radio. That guy on the afternoon, I'm not gonna mention his name, he's killing us with.
Hot Hat Robert?
Sir?
Hot Hat Robert?
Yeah, that's him.
But, people don't know, they just don't know, and
Yeah, I
they think
understand.
we're abusing them, and, county government is really the people's access to getting their word down to Austin, because those guys, compliments of our,
Live there.
this current legislation has been allowing lobbying, so-called.
Well, we're not perfect, and we make mistakes, but by golly, it's after the fight and after the study. You know, I mean, nobody takes it lightly.
I think people want to talk. And you guys are, get the sheriff out there and let them know what we're spending this money on. I think reasonable people still outnumber the others.
I agree, and that's the good thing.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, the reasonable people, for the most part, will call on the phone and ask, or stop you in the grocery store, at the coffee shop, or walking down the street and say, hey, tell me about this.
Yeah.
And, you know, but there's some people, and Robert Pratt being one of them, when he was going off on the fact that our courthouse restricted weapons and you couldn't bring them in the courthouse buildings, and that we had lost that, when we appealed, we collectively, the counties, Waller County appealed that and won. And I took it out to him, and he said, I don't want to look at that. He said, that'll change, you'll lose in the long run. We hadn't lost yet. That's 2 years later. Some new legislation that just passed reaffirmed the courts allowing to limit weapons being brought into any building with a court in it or court personnel. So, which somewhat brings back the question on the annex. But when I was given that information by somebody who said, oh, you guys are going to have to sweat this. Well, we only have to sweat the people that read the top headline. If you don't read everything below that, you may miss the real point. And no, that bill is very supportive of what we currently do. So, you know, I don't know what to do to get people to listen to the other half of the story, as Mr. Harvey used to say. So, not you, Paul. Anything else, Commissioner Watts?
No, that's it, Judge.
Okay. We will have a meeting at 10 o'clock this coming Friday. Nancy and I talked, and Willie is finishing up putting everything together. I went back through all the personnel things that we had talked about. They're all in there. And
That spreadsheet of the latest revised salary
Yeah,
spreadsheet is part of the deal I'll send all of y'all. It's a tab on the bottom.
okay, and I looked through it twice. I think everything was there that we had discussed. And then but we hope to have that out no later than Thursday, so it's available and filed in the clerk's office and available to all look at it. Nancy, you think by noon you'll have the rest of it, noon tomorrow, not noon today. That'd be really good. But okay. Some of us will be attending the Texas Association of Counties annual conference in Austin this week. I will be down there I'm going to come down there Wednesday evening. Purdue has a dinner that night. I assumed y'all were probably going. You all are going too now going.
Yeah.
And I'll be down there for that.
I turned in 4 of us, but that's okay.
Yeah. They know those numbers are,
We're gonna have to make that good sign.
yeah. So, the other thing, Midwestern is having at 3:30 this Friday, the opening of Centennial Hall, which is their, I believe it's the new medical building facility. It's Thursday or? Nursing school, yes. Okay. But that'll be Friday at 3:30. First time they've sent me a parking pass. So,
Well, you're getting old.
is that it? Wasn't a handicap parking pass. At any rate,
If you get trapped on the tickets you got in the last 20 years.
you know what it could be, but Bob, I mean, Sheriff, I wiped those out when I was dean and I was in charge of that area. But the wildest, you've got to appreciate this. I had a bunch of students walk in one morning and they all had parking tickets for parking on in reserve slots. I said, what were you all thinking? Dean Gossam, it wasn't reserved when I parked there. I
They
said,
was going around changing them there. And
yeah, they had a deal, they could slide under and hit the button and spray in reserve. So campus police came by and ticketed all of them. And I called over, and I said, Mr. Alley, can you all do that? Yeah, we did that. We did that street this morning. I said, well, then that explains why all those tickets. And so I called the chief and I said, we're going to clear all those today. And he didn't like that. He thought they sort of read the administrative council minutes to have known that. And I said, I don't think they even get a copy of them. But at any rate, I thought that was really interesting work. But
interesting way to fundraise, wasn't it?
then I heard about some student that had his own can of black spray
I
paint,
never heard of it.
and he would take those out.
Only in an emergency.
All right, anything else to be brought up to the court?
Just one thing.
Yes, sir.
To add to the LGS issue that Patty brought up. That bill was approved last week in Commissioners Court. I'm not sure when it was mailed, but it needed to be received by the first and hasn't cleared the bank yet, so that could possibly be the issue. So.
Okay.
Oops.
You weren't going to deliver that one, were you, sir? You were close, though, if you were in Lampasas. You could have gotten it there.
Where they at?
They're in Woodlands.
Oh, the Woodlands?
Or no, wait a minute, no,
Lampasas?
no, LGS is in Ellis County in Waxahachie. That may
I
be.
know you're laughing about that, Jay, but I say with the county got $15 a week delivered mail, which is not, doesn't have to do with any other department except mine. But 15 times 52, you know, it's just money.
The DA just didn't like it. She said it was like against the law or something.
Well, that's actually what the postal inspector that came and visited me.
You said it was against the law too?
If it's
He
stamped.
said if I was tampering with it, I said, what I'm doing is delivery, but it's saving money for the county. And he said, Bob, I'll receive you.
All right.
Nice guy.
Yeah.
Had a badge.
Had a badge.
Yeah.
Federal authority.
The postal inspector called me out of Fort Worth. We had delivered some mailers to Forestburg, of all places, and not the greatest sized community in the world, and no one was there at the counter, and we just left the boxes with the paperwork on them, the plain brown boxes. Man, they had everybody working. So by about 9 o'clock that night, he was calling me, and they'd gotten to the bottom of it, brave enough to open the box.
Oh, no. They thought it was.
They thought it was a bomb.
Did you get in trouble?
No, they just told me don't be doing that, make sure I talk to somebody. I said, well, they ought to be at the counter.
Yeah, wait a minute, that's not my problem. And the paperwork, I mean, but that was like we had to scare at one of the clinics because somebody had the white powdered donuts in there and the stuff had fallen on the table. All righty, it is 9:56 and we're adjourned.